Hey, good morning guys. Hope you're doing really well. Hope you had an amazing weekend. Today was a Monday the 13th of May. Bitcoin's around about 62.5 roughly. And yeah, thanks for joining me again. Listen guys, you know, for those of you who have subscribed to the channel, I just honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say a huge thank you. The last video for me did really well. We're only talking about a few hundreds, and I know that's small in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, I just want to say huge thanks. We've now over 800 subscribers, and yeah, it's crazy, but I really appreciate all the support and all the positivity, your comments and everything like that. And yeah, these videos aren't perfect. They are raw. They're one take. As I'm, you know, I've just done a school run, just dropped the kids off, and gotta go and do some errands and yeah, do some work. So I'm just trying to sort of provide value wherever I can and help you guys on this journey. It's an exciting journey, that's for sure. Quick update on the $1 a day Bitcoin challenge. Again, for those new, it's my little way of trying to encourage newbies just to dip their toe in regularly and pull the trigger. So many people sit on the sidelines for so long, years. It's a common story. It happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to you, where we hear about it but we don't actually do anything about it. I implore you, just do the $1 a day Bitcoin challenge. I'm doing it for the next 10 years, and although I don't do videos daily, whenever I do the $1 a day every day, and at some point I'll be recording it, showing in a graph, and I mean, there's not a lot to see at the moment because we've only been doing it a couple of months. So it'll be more interesting over the course of 10 years to see how the number of sats decreases. That's the thought, is, you know, every day, every year, every month, eventually the amount of sats that I can get for my $1 will decrease and decrease and decrease. How far? We'll have to wait and see. But will one sat one day be $1? Yeah, and it was an interesting one. One of the subscribers kindly put a great comment on one of the videos, just saying, you know, we'll be talking about sats. You know, one sat will buy a loaf of bread type thing, and I truly believe that to be so. And it's, I mean, it's slightly bonkers if you know, when you consider it, but I do think it's going to be an inevitability. That's quite hard to get your tongue around first thing in the morning. And yeah, I mean, when you think, you know, well, one sat today, I got, sorry, $1, I got 1,975 sats. So will my $1 be worth $1,975 effectively in the future? It's, yeah, who knows? But obviously by compounding that, you know, that saving in Bitcoin terms every day, even small amounts, just has a big cumulative effect over time. And again, I just implore you just to do that if you're new to Bitcoin, and just start dipping your toe. That's the point, is just start dipping your toe. But also on the point of the chap who kindly dropped a comment in the video, it was, although we, you know, whether one sat will eventually buy a loaf of bread, it's also the consideration of where does that leave everyone else who you know, who maybe get left behind, who maybe don't pull the trigger, who maybe don't buy, who don't buy Bitcoin, and how does the society look like then? And you know, it's a really, I guess, a bit of a thought experiment and a bit of a concern as well. You know, and I pondered on that question, and I think ultimately you can only take a horse to water, as they say. You can't make it drink it. And I think by all of us, in our own little ways, doing whatever we can for Bitcoin, and encouraging people, you know, in my little ways, do these little videos when I can, and your ways might be different, and you know, maybe you guys would, you know, start your own YouTube channel. And I think whatever way we can do, or even just talking to friends, family, we can just encourage people. Ultimately, people have got to do it themselves. People have got to walk the walk. They've got to take that step. They've got to take that leap of faith. They've got to, you know, we can't live other people's lives. which is challenging, and you wonder what that world would look like on a Bitcoin standard, where, you know, maybe some people didn't get involved early. And I think, again, I haven't clarified my thinking completely yet, but the reality is the governments aren't going to change the system. That's a fact. You know, it doesn't matter who you vote for, they're all much the same, let's be honest. And again, you know, they're not going to do something radical either. They're not going to go, oh yeah, let's just rip up the whole rule book, just one country, for example, and go, we're completely going on a Bitcoin standard. Yes, there are countries who are adopting it, but they haven't sort of, you know, thrown away the rule book completely. Maybe that happens in time, I don't know. But I think what we can do as individuals is, in our own personal lives, adopt Bitcoin as much as we possibly can, and opt out of the fiat currency world. And over time, you know, that would force, you know, that will force the agenda effectively. Now, something else I've been, you know, sort of looking into is how Bitcoin, and some of you may have seen the video. I don't think it got many views, but it was a video me questioning what a Bitcoin world would look like, and a deflationary world, and I didn't have the answers. It wasn't a video of me sort of giving you any pearls of wisdom at all. It was me posing questions, and basically around what does a deflationary world look like. Bitcoin is an asset class that's going to eat every other asset class, and it'll make everything cheaper relative. So in other words, your life will get cheaper. You'll get to a point with the Bitcoin, and everything will be cheaper. Everything will be cheaper. So potentially, you'll never, you know, your Bitcoin will just last forever, even when you're spending it, because everything is getting cheaper. And that effectively, that's a deflationary world. And but I was grappling in my mind, saying, well, what does that mean? What does that look like for workers? What does that mean if businesses are operating in a deflationary world when their goods and services are getting cheaper? I don't have all the answers yet, but it's interesting. I've been sort of starting to read some books, watching some videos, and researching about it. So there's some compelling, interesting sort of perspectives, actually talking about it in a very positive light, that actually a deflationary world is more of a natural order, that actually the inflationary world that we live in is just pure theft. And the reason it's probably around about 2% global, you know, that's the level they try and keep it at, is because then we don't notice it as much. You know, if somebody's sort of taking just 2% of your pot every year, then you don't notice it as much. Whereas obviously if somebody's taking 10% every year, that you'd notice a lot more. So it's almost like subtle theft. That was the argument. That happens over time, but the perception is, oh well, there's growth and things are getting better, and it's all about growing the economy. But actually, it's just a little bit of theft every year. That's hard to notice over a lifetime, and inflation tends to have the impact of actually driving asset prices. So those who do have the assets, properties, typically stocks, shares, things like that, they have the perception that they're doing okay, that their assets are going up, and obviously with the inflation, that's where and the money printing, that tends to have an inflationary effect on assets. But those who aren't, unfortunately, have their foot on the ladder, property ladder, and they have hard assets, they're the ones who get eaten alive, and they're the ones who get left behind. But of course, the asset price on house prices is an illusion, because actually it's a debasement of currency. It's a perception that actually my house is going up, but it's not actually. It's actually your buying power is less. So it's an illusion. So again, I don't have the answers, but it's something I'm exploring, and I'm learning more. So hopefully I'll share what, you know, as I build my own, I guess, thesis and my own perspective. yeah, it's interesting. And I think so. What, going back to the question of, you know, what happens to the people who get left behind, who don't get on Bitcoin early? Well, I think potentially if we move into a deflationary world where living standards gets cheaper, where buying our loaf of bread gets cheaper, even for those people who don't, you know, who haven't managed to accumulate Bitcoin, and they're still living in this sort of fiat world. Maybe there's a fiat and Bitcoin world that's coexists, or maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But if we can move into a deflationary world, then it actually benefits regular people, regular working people, and it means that their living costs get cheaper. You know, ultimately, if we think about it, you know, in an inflationary world, all of our living costs get more and more expensive. We're on this crazy hamster wheel where we've got to keep going more and more and more because everything's getting more expensive. You know, we all feel that pain, whether it's fuel in the car, whether it's going to the supermarket, everything's getting more expensive, the bills, everything. Wouldn't it be a better world to live in where actually things get cheaper? And if you think about it, isn't progress about making things more efficient? Aren't we all, you know, we're all getting better at everything. We're getting cleverer, the technology is improving, whether it's technology in computer chips or technology in robotics or manufacturing practices or milk production or bread production. All of these industries are getting better. And you'd have thought with becoming more efficient, prices should be coming down, but they're not. I think that's where the theft comes in. I think it's pure and simple. I think it's theft. So the deflationary world is probably the natural order as we get better as humans, as we get better doing what we do. We become more efficient. We drive efficiency. We don't go, oh yeah, let's work out a way to chop that pile of wood in a worse way. Let's try and get a really bad axe to chop a load of wood up. It's going to take me twice as long. No, you're going to get, right, okay, I've got a crap axe, I need to go and get a better axe, and it's going to be better, and it's going to take me half the time, and I'll be able to we get better at things. So we're constantly, as humans, becoming more efficient, and being more efficient means prices should be coming down, but they're not. So that's the question you've got to ask yourself: why is that happening? And I believe it's theft. Although I haven't clarified my thesis, but this is the way I'm starting to drift. But I do want to be open-minded, because I don't want to just go, oh right, I've just listened to this one narrative or one perspective or one economist. I want to sort of explore this in a holistic sort of way. So I'm open to listen to all debates, and at some point when I've got more time, I'd love to, you know, speak to people, interview people, and have chats with them from both sides of the argument. Actually, that would be really interesting, and see what they have to say. So yeah, so hopefully for those people who do get left behind, maybe we move into a deflationary world where actually they can still benefit, that actually they can still afford that bread. You know, they can still put bread on the table, buy the groceries, pay the bills, because actually life is getting cheaper, because we're getting better, we're getting more efficient, and we've you know, getting rid of this theft that we're sort of not seeing. It's silently done, little by little, unless of course you've got assets, but even then you're still losing, but it's just probably at a slower rate that you won't notice. So that's my thought at this moment in time. Obviously, you know, I'm open to listening to arguments, continue to, you know, learn, develop, and I hope you are too. You know, if you've got any thoughts and any comments, you know, please do put it in the comment section. It's great to have a chat with you, see what your thoughts are, see if there's any nuggets of wisdom that you can share with me, and help me on my journey, and hopefully I might be helping you guys too. So listen guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you, Monge 2, and yeah, I hope you have a great day. Hopefully catch up with you tomorrow. Take care guys, cheers.